from Timcast.com. Jury rules Trump committed battery and defamed E. Jean Carroll. Former president calls verdict a disgrace. A jury has ruled that former President Donald Trump committed battery on E. Jean Carroll in 1996 and later defamed her. Carroll has claimed Trump raped her in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room in New York City. Quote, I'm here because Donald Trump raped me, and when I wrote about it, he said it didn't happen. Carroll testified. Trump did not testify or call any witnesses to the case. The jury ruled that Trump did not rape Carroll, but that he is liable for sexual abuse. He has now been ordered to pay her $5 million in damages in the civil case. There are no criminal charges. Carroll went public, blah, blah, blah. This is a crazy story. Trump said, I have absolutely no idea who this woman is. This verdict is a disgrace, a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time. How does something like this happen? It's been 30 some odd years, and now Trump's got to pay $5 million. What evidence did they have? I guess they must have had something, right?
Did she wear a blue dress or something? I mean,
I don't know. Trump's not doing himself any favors, because apparently in the deposition, he said something like he told the lawyer questioning him that she wasn't hot enough for him. Did you guys see that?
He did. It ruled.
Man, he plays at the base no matter what, man.
It was awesome.
He said something like, she's not really my type, and quite frankly, neither are you. So you didn't need to say that. You're not doing yourself any favors.
No, but he was doing us favors. He is a man of the people.
Like, how do you think a jury responds when they hear that?
Snickers,
Right?
personally. Yeah. I chuckle. I think they chuckle.
A New York jury?
Yeah. he's like, oh, should I not have said that?
If they had any sense of
crowd.
humor, they would.
I just don't know. Like, did she have like actual evidence? A jury of 6 men and 3 men awarded her $5 million. Trump called it a disgrace. What is the evidence? I suppose that they saw that they felt that warranted Trump having to pay. They said former magazine writer was abused by Trump nearly 30 years ago. The jury did not find that he raped her as she had long claimed. The jury, returning the verdict shortly after 3 p.m., found Trump is running to regain his presidency. Blah 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 blah. Mr. Trump's lawyers called no witnesses. He never appeared at the trial to hear Miss Carroll, who had sued him last year. So maybe that's it. It's just because he didn't defend himself that they were just like, okay, I guess default.
Maybe.
I don't know. She walked out of the courthouse grinning from ear to ear. This is crazy to me.
Sure she did.
It's absolutely crazy.
I think
$5
I saw
million.
that the judge would not allow him or his defense to post evidence for their defense online too. So he's like gagged.
I'd be curious to see. So the other thing that popped up was this story here, because apparently I'm just in the news all the time. Donald Trump's trial juror, fan of right-wing provocateur, Tim Pool. What website is this?
See, this
How
is
are
the kind of
you-
credence that would be in this jury.
What is this
Yeah.
even website?
Yeah, totally.
Apoye.com. They say, where do we have this? A security guard, 31 from the Bronx, said he got his news and information from podcasts. He particularly listened to one by Tim Pool, a controversial right-wing comment. Well, at least Unheard called me a centrist. But I'm curious for this is an international article because it says it was May 10th. So, but I'm curious. Somebody who watches this show must have seen some pretty damning evidence if they're going to convict Trump, right? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I was not paying that close of attention to that trial. I heard a little bit about it today, but I didn't get a chance to look into the verdict, why they
see if
ruled the way they did.
What could the
I
evidence
want
be? Did you like sniff his finger or
30
something?
30-year-old
Like 30
Is there a video of it?
Wouldn't that be
I just don't understand. How could you have
everywhere now?
evidence that's this long
Yeah.
of something like that happening? They're like, well, it didn't happen, but Trump's got to pay her anyway.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, wouldn't the evidence be everywhere now? Then wouldn't something
Right.
be out there about
They would
it?
have leaked something.
And they love talking about him. So
I think
it
a
would
lady
be
said
out.
Trump did a thing, and they're like, okay, pay her. I think that's what happened.
Pretty
So then when I hear that like one of the jurors was a fan, I'm like, what? He had to have seen something, right? I just can't believe that somebody who would watch this show would be like, I don't need evidence. I will convict. I will agree. It's not conviction, I guess. I will
Found liable.
find Trump liable. There you go.
That's funny that he paid $5 million to use that line.
Which one?
You're not
my
pretty
type.
enough for me. Or you're not my type.
That's what it was.
You
yeah.
probably thought it was funny. It's like, I'll pay $5 million to say that.
We all enjoyed it, I guess. They say that Mr. Tacopina clashed the judge seeking a mistrial on pervasive, unfair, and prejudicial rulings, based in part on what he described as the judge improperly sustaining objections by Ms. Carroll's lawyers, who argued that his questions were argumentative. At one point, Judge Kaplan quoted the definition of an argumentative question from Black's Law Dictionary, reading it aloud to Mr. Tacopina. I don't believe it. I really just
Someone
don't
said
believe
that
it.
you only need 6 jurors to find the person guilty in a civil trial? I don't know at all. And I'm just seeing something that someone was saying on the internet.
I don't know, man.
Too, so
I just think all of this is fake.
I think there's just going to be a nonstop circus around him through the entire election cycle
sure.
to kind of to have everyone looking at these different things and to distract away from anything that he might have to say about, the nonsense.
I think this country's already fallen off a cliff. Right, we had that story earlier about the border crossings, 26,000 apprehensions, and the Biden admin's like, just release them to the streets. So they're just going to release a whole bunch of. They're basically saying there's no border anymore. And I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
They said that Title 42 ends. They will enter this country and they will be released, which means it's a free for all. Mm-hmm. So I see that. I'm kind of just. It's hard for me to get enthused by any of this news where I'm just sitting here thinking like we are free falling.
So with stuff like this, I think people need to. I think you're right. I think we're over the cliff, and we need to give up on any kind of political solution from the federal level. However, the states and the localities have a lot of decision-making authority under the 10th Amendment, a lot. And I think that's really got to be the political thing that is embraced, this concept of nullification. There is absolutely no reason. There's absolutely no reason that states can't set their own immigration policies. That's not in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. They have every bit of authority to do that. And basically, not basically, everything that's not listed explicitly in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution is up for this kind of movement. So I really think that's what's got to happen is we've got to realign politics with culture closer to the localities in these states. And then that's who was always meant to be making the majority of decisions anyway.
Radical decentralization.
That's what has to happen. But not just that in theory. It was given to us by the founders. That power was there and debated heavily, for the states and the localities to have this. And that is, in my opinion, what has to happen is we have got to bring the sovereignty back down as close to the individual as possible.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to ask you, I hear you, but what would that look like at a state level? How would that operate if states were having more strict immigration laws or enforcing them in a way that the federal government wasn't?
They would. I mean, they would have whatever authorities and resources at their disposal. So, like the Texas National Guard, they could authorize that to do what they want. Because if Texas being a border town and is affected the most, why shouldn't they have the most say? Or why shouldn't they do it as they see fit when they're being essentially made to stand down by the feds when they have no authority to do that in the first place?
Yeah. That's an interesting point. I hear you. No, look, I'm all about like states' rights in having the states step in, especially when the federal government is failing to do their duty. I hope something like that could work. I'm a little worried though, just about how we'd be able to pull that off, especially with budgets. I mean, the states would have to. And I agree with you that the states at some point have to do something if the federal government isn't going to step in and do anything. So we're definitely on the same page there. I'm just a little worried about how effective it's going to be.
Well, I get encouraged by it because almost anything that's good that happens at this level. Like you see states like legalizing gold and silver as legal tender. You see states like there was just a major victory for the Defend the Guard bill in the Senate in Arizona. You see constitutional carry at the state level. Like you see these different things that happen, and what wins like that could you say have happened at the federal level in the past 5 years?
None, and that's the point.
Very little.
Yeah. The thing is the infrastructure that the infrastructure.
I would say but that's judicial, but still.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
The things that we're discussing right now are all the infrastructure is all there. It's the way that our government's set up currently. So it's really just states taking the authority that they have. Governors getting some balls and state legislatures getting some balls and doing things that they decide are good for their states, whether it be Abbott in Texas or whether it be, DeSantis. These are governors that are doing things that help their states, and other governors should follow suit.
And here's the thing. It's not just the states. The localities have this authority. Yeah. And so when the localities start to embrace this, that starts to set the tone for the culture in the state or the conversation in the state to make a move at the state. And what we're describing is actually what the Mises Caucus is all about. Like we're calling it Project Decentralized Revolution. We're recruiting people to run for city council, mayor, school board, sheriff, judge, to run for these types of offices where you can nullify the federal government from that local level for the specific purpose to nullify the federal government at that level. That's what we're all about. We know that we're not winning governor and Senate, we're realistic, but this is what, in my opinion, has to be done. And it kind of brings together both the political solution and the cultural solution, because culture is something that emerges from the ground up. It's not something they're trying to bring it down from the top, but that it's not organic, it's not real. So by bringing the community together at that local level to make these decisions and insulate ourselves from the insanity of the feds, that I think is the thing that in time can generate the broader conversations.
What's the biggest resistance you would find to something like that? Just maybe like one example of the biggest resistance you would find and how you'd face that.
The cult mentality that seeks power and the will to dominate.
It is the will to dominate, because the thing that people that are against libertarian ideals tend to object to, even if they don't say it, is they can't do things that they want to do that will negatively affect other people. Right? They can't implement this policy or implement this project, and the reason is because it'll affect other people. And so people don't want to vote libertarian if they can't use the government to push other people around, whether it be push other people around by getting money from the government and having funding, whatever their pet project is, or maybe it's make sure that this person doesn't do a drug that I don't like or doesn't have a lifestyle that I don't like. The will to dominate, libido dominante, is something that is ingrained in a significant portion of humans, probably most humans, and it's a very small portion of people that are like, I really am a live and let live person. And if it wasn't for that fact, that it is a very small portion, you would see more libertarian policies actually in the world. Because everyone says they're libertarian. Everyone says, no, I don't want to, I'm a live and let live kind of guy, until it comes down to actually voting as if you're a live and let live kind of guy.
And I just want to plug one resource on this front. The guys over at the 10th Amendment Center, Michael Bolden and Mike Meharry, and the 10thamendmentcenter.com, they do this work, and they track all of these nullification type of bills that are happening at the various states around the country. So there already is that repository, and they have sample legislation on their website that anybody can start taking to their city council or to their state rep to do various things, from, a gun sanctuary where, the state or the locality is going to not comply with federal gun control laws, to the gold and silver repositories, to decriminalization, to the banning of the warrantless use of surveillance technology. All of this stuff can be done. Like, once you realize how short of a list of authority is in Article 1, Section 8, your imagination can run wild on what you can insulate yourself from in your community from the feds.
I think that if we got rid of party affiliation on ballots, you'd see a lot of libertarians in office.
Probably.
You'd see a lot less Democrats. You'd see a lot of different parties in general.
The closest thing that I can say that backs that up is that the majority of victories for big L libertarians are at the local level, and specifically where the state makes it so that local level races don't have party affiliation.
Yep. What did they just say? Unaffiliated?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of local politicians that we've talked about who are clearly Democrats, but they're listed as unaffiliated, even though they are members of the Democratic Party and they fundraise with them and things like that. But like you said, so I think we talked about it before. Get rid of DNR and L or whatever, just names, and then let the uninformed voters go in and be confused and vote at random. They'll just check a random box or don't vote. If you don't know who you're voting for, don't vote.
You'd see a lot fewer Democratic celebrities getting on television saying, just go out and vote.
Yep.
I mean, this is one of my pet peeves. This is one of my pet peeves, right? Every single time you see one of these get out and vote PSAs, it is almost always a spokesperson from the left. And it's because they know the people who are only going out to vote because a celebrity on their television told them to don't know anything and will almost certainly vote Democrat.
Get out the vote, or get out the vote is always targeting people that are uninformed about what they're voting for.
Exactly.
Let me give one piece of pushback here, and this is an example, and that maybe this wouldn't work out. So I remember I was working for Maj Toure when he was running for city council in Philadelphia. Now, the rules for city council in Philadelphia are you have 7 at-large positions on the city council, and any one party is only allowed to have 5 of those spots, so the 2 spots are reserved for the minority party. And what happened in that race, this was 2019, is that a couple of Democrats created a fake third party called the People's Party. And, so it wasn't subject to the party line. And yet they got pumped with millions of dollars and almost took all 7 spots. They took 6. They took the 6th spot and almost took the 7th spot.
Wow.
Well, all right.
Now that's Philadelphia, though.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another potential solution. what about the idea of, I don't know if this, I don't know about if this would require like a state constitutional convention, but when you think of the county party, or not parties, the county governments, what would happen if the collective of county polities came together and essentially just pushed out the big cities to be their own self-governing units? Be like, Philadelphia, love the stuff that you produce for us. Don't really like sharing a government with you here in Pennsylvania.
So
we'll have borders with you. But
You're saying that we should build a wall, but not on the southern border, just around all of the cities?
a political wall, yeah.
Yeah.
A physical wall.
I've definitely
30 feet, no doors. And put a dome on top.
I've heard.
Just forget about it and plug your ears when you hear yelling.
I've heard people argue for this, right, with Washington, D.C., specifically, also with L.A., Chicago as well, right, separating from Illinois. I see many upsides to that. I wonder if it's possible. I mean, normally I would have said, if you asked me a couple years ago, will that ever happen? I would say absolutely not. That's crazy. But so many things that I would not have predicted happening have happened over the past couple of years. So it's got to the point where, I don't know, maybe that is possible.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.